good Orioles-Yankees battle yesterday, and the Orioles beat up the Yanks bullpen, and the Orioles happen to have two of the best relievers in baseball too. That, in my mind, it's crazy, but I actually think the Orioles have not only a better bullpen, but more firepower for like your circle of trust. Anyway, the other part of this conversation is yet another debut. Colton Cowser debuts. Their number 2 prospect, number 14 overall in the sport, gets called up. I feel like it didn't get a lot of fanfare. I actually feel like there's fatigue now, national fatigue, AJ, around call-ups for Baltimore, and you could make a case for Cincinnati as well. But, Jordan Westburg gets called up. We had Grayson Rodriguez, a call-up for them a couple months ago. Like, the names I'm rattling off are high end prospects. Of course, Adley last year, and there's 2 or 3 more in the past year that you can point out that are top 50 prospects in the sport. Here's another one. Nice, solid, clean rip for his first RBI knock as a major league ball player, and contributes in the win. And it's not like they're calling him up too soon, too. He's 23 years old. He's ready to go. And that's why this team's so dangerous, because they keep calling up players. They're like making trades during the year by calling up guys that deserve to be in the big leagues that can be at least average, if not above average, in their rookie seasons.
No, that's great. It's great for the Orioles. The problem is they need to spend a little bit on the backside to kind of help these guys out. But these guys are calling up have been good. Gunnar Henderson got off to a little bit of a slow start last year. Rushman, we've all seen what he's done since he came up. He was kind of the start of the wave, right? Grayson Rodriguez got sent back as he struggled. There's going to be ups and downs with these young guys, but they think they can win with what they have. Now you look, I think every time they do this, they're trying to inject a little bit of life into them, because the Orioles have struggled. I mean, honestly, they're what, 2-6 in their last 8 games if you count last night. So they were 1-6. So I think sometimes the Orioles organization tries to inject a young guy to get them hot again, because they're not playing their best right before the All-Star break. But you bring up Westberg, you bring up Cowser, gets a big hit last night, drives in a run. It's just more energy for them in that dugout and in that clubhouse with these young guys, and they've all know each other. I'm sure they've all played together. And the Orioles, good for the Orioles. They keep churning out guys, and hopefully they all work out and become great players.
I was talking with Adam Frazier the other day when I was down there doing radio for the Reds, and I said, "What's the difference? You played on a couple of different teams." He goes, "Everybody comes to the ballpark enthused, excited, can't wait to play, and it's a winning attitude." And I said, "Wow, I mean, you hear that all the time." He goes, "Todd, I'm telling you, it's a different team." And he talked about it too. He just said, "Listen, nobody cares who's playing. Everybody just wants to contribute and have fun doing it." And like I said, that was a big one, because the Yankees did pretty well against them this series. But to get to their bullpen, because the Yankees have the best bullpen in the league, and the domination that they've done in the bullpen for them, exciting for them. This is the best part about baseball, because you got all these new names coming in and the excitement, and now the wheels are turning for all the teams. It's especially for the Orioles going in there, time to kick it up a notch, though, because 2-6 not going to do it.
Are the Orioles better than the Yankees? And it's tough to ask you.
No,
but you don't think
right
so?
Right now, yes.
The judgeless Yankees.
Judgeless Yankees, yes.
Yes.
I think they are. But when everybody's healthy and, both teams have the health going on too as well. Cedric Mullins just came back. I think the Yankees by far are better than them.
So by far?
By far.
Really?
Yes.
AJ, power rankings for the AL East?
Orioles are a better team right now. The Yankees have Judge, and they have no one else. They've proven that since Judge is on the IL. And if Judge can't play, and who knows when he's going to be back. I mean, he's talking about today he's going to be dealing with this toe problem for possibly years. So he might be back when? End of July, hopefully? Or they're going to be buried. You can get Judge back. But I think with the Orioles, what they have going on, the back end of their bullpen's been really good with Cano and Bautista. Their top-end starters have been better than we thought. And their lineup just brings energy 1 through 9. They're deeper than the Yankees. And for one major reason, they have more athleticism and they can do more things than just hit home runs.
Yeah, I agree. I said right now, 100%, they're better than them. But I think if we get health-wise, you got Rodon coming back and all that, just to name one person, I think that if he's 100% healthy and he's throwing the way he could, that's another starter for them that's going to help them and both them get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the first part with Baltimore. AJ, it's time. You're going to have to, even if you think you're a playoff ball club and you're in a good spot, you're going to have to show, forget your fans, How about your players that you're invested in the team? Because they're barely spending money, and kudos to them. They tanked for 6 years to get to this point to pick up a billion top prospects, but they have a surplus of prospects. They can make a deal, especially a trade. You're already getting a guy where half his salary has been paid elsewhere. For me, they need to be some of the bigger spenders during the trade deadline, right? Pitching for sure. Starting pitching. I mean, and a bullpen arm everyone can always use, but
Sure.
I'm looking at least a starter and a guy in my mind towards the top. Like any big name that we're about to talk about, I think they need to be involved in the conversation because they can keep up prospect wise. They can offer a package just as good as anyone else. And you never know when your window is going to be. Like they might say, oh, our best years, we're real right now. We're a playoff contender, but we're really a World Series contender starting next year. Yeah. Fuck that. You don't know that. You might Adley Rutschman might get hurt next year, knock on wood, like shit like that. And then you're in a bad spot. So they have a chance to win a World Series if they pick up a couple big starters.
Yeah, possibly, but who are they going to get? And also, how much do they prize prospects? Because there's organizations that overvalue their prospects, never trade them, and some of them don't work out. Like I said, they already sent Grayson Rodriguez back to fine tune his stuff. Would you trade Grayson Rodriguez for a starter for half a year? Would you trade any of these young guys they've called up, Cowser, Westberg, any of these guys to get? Because teams are going to want value to give value, and then it goes back to what starters are out there. White Sox guys, Cease, Giolito, are those game changers? And will they cost too much? I'm trying to think who else would be a name. Scherzer, I mean, maybe. Verlander, probably not. Stroman, yeah. But again, how much are they willing to give up, and what's the asking price going to be? The Orioles are notorious for not making these trades, so you have to go back to history and say, well, they value their prospects so much they don't want to make these moves.
Shane Bieber?
I don't think Bieber's available as long as the Guardians are in it. I mean, I don't. Listen, the Guardians are 2 games behind the Twins. They like their chances. Bieber's the one veteran starter they really have on that team that's been good for them. So I talked to Terry Francona last week in the Guardians Cubs game, and we asked him that direct question. He kind of gave us well, I certainly hope they don't make that move because that would send a bad message to everybody. But listen, the Guardians are really good at trading guys at the right time. They did it with Kluber. They did it with Clevenger. And they've gotten returns back that are top notch. So I don't know. I don't think he'd be available, but he could be.
I'll give you one more name. It's just that it's tricky right now. Eduardo Rodriguez. He was off to a blazing start, missed some time with an injury, came back. Last night got shelled by Oakland, so that's never great. But it's one start. He just came back, gave up 5 runs, did strike out 7. He's got a 2.5 ERA on the year. He's pitched in the American League East before, so he's pitched for Boston. He's pitched well against the AL East in the past. The biggest problem for me is he has an opt-out in his contract. And the way he was pitching for the first couple months of the season, you're like, oh, he's a lock. He's going to opt out. Now, I mean, if he doesn't pitch well or if he gets hurt again, a team like Baltimore is not going to take the risk of a guy that could be paid out now for millions of dollars that might not pan out. Like it just doesn't seem like a risk that they would take because they're cheap as shit. Agree?
Yeah, they're super cheap. And listen, Rodriguez, yeah, that sounds great, but the Tigers need somebody too.
What do you mean the Tigers need somebody?
They need somebody to pitch. They need veteran guys. All their guys are hurt, and Rodriguez has been good for them early this year. So, I mean, if they get a haul back, yeah, but I just don't see the Tigers making that move. It's a bad match. Sometimes you have to, Scott, it's not always about like the guy. It's about sometimes the message to the fans. And the fans of Detroit are like, hey, we need somebody that's a veteran guy. We can't just keep in this rebuilding mode for the last 10 years that they've been in. They got to have somebody, and they went out and spent some money, and the Tigers fans were excited, and they haven't panned out. But I just don't know that the Tigers will do that again.
But he might leave anyway. So why would you get something for him?
Doesn't he have one more year?
No. So this is the second year of a 5-year, $77 million. He can opt out. His opt-out's after this year. So he's either opting out or he's keeping that money and going on, which it was a lock that he was going to opt out a month ago.
Is there a trade thing though? Is there a trade where
I don't think he has much in terms of rights with no trade. He might not have any. I definitely don't see a full no trade. So
some guys have like if they get traded. Some guys if they get traded, they get like a extra year popped on or different things. Not necessarily a no trade clause. It's just a trade deterrent because it adds years and stuff to their contracts.
Yep. All right. We'll see. It's a name to watch. We'll see how he does the next few starts too. They want to see if he's back and healthy.